bring us on over here. Shoals and Hyper, man, if that's not a strong start for the map draft, I don't know what is. Absolute banger to start off. We just need to sneak in... What? What's my third favorite map in this tournament? I'm actually not sure. Maybe Sunburn. I always kind of root for seeing Immersion just because we never see it. But I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite. Okay, we get Aftermath and Sunburn. This might end up being my perfect map draft, honestly. We'll see what the ending here is. No Immersion, okay. And Acre. I'll take it, honestly. I will take it. Acre has not been my favorite, which is unfortunate because I do like the map, but in Deathmatch it seems like it just comes down to like one big push and it's over in like 10 minutes max. Which is fine, but I think maybe if I'm really thinking about my perfect map draft here, I might replace Acre with like Outcrop. I think then that might be perfect. So, exciting, exciting. Let us head on over to the civs. Bang, alright. Beautiful. Hype? There he is. we are hype. We're hype around here. We're hoping for a good set. If you could give us another wood game, Warpath, I'd be down for that. No pressure, but you know, if it happens, then we're excited for it over here. Random civ bans are not the most impactful, but did hit a couple heavy hitters here. Berbers, Slavs, Teutons, Mongols, Turks, I suppose. So if nobody bans out the Chinese, they're going to be in high demand, I suspect, for shoals. Though, Spanish are still available as well, so I suppose there are a few options here as far as water civs go. Okay, no more Spanish. Pretty big time bans out here from Warpath. Bentor seems to not like the weird civs, so the Sicilians, Cumans. We'll see if the Huns are maybe the last pick here. Celts, okay, alright. So China's still in there. The only other water civ that's really viable at all is the Byzantines. So we'll see this. I think at the higher levels, this might just be a double Spanish pick, but... Or sorry, a double Chinese pick. And then... Where do we go for our second pick here? Like Magyars, Persians, Georgians. Okay, alright. Double Chinese makes sense. Magyars and Georgians. Very nice. Jurchens also. Oh, true. I always forget about the Jurchens. They're banned out so often that I forget that sometimes they are actually available. They're a solid water civ as well, if you want to use them on a water map. So I actually like that a lot from Warpath. It means if you want to go this route, you can ban out the Chinese, and then your opponent has to choose one of two really good water civs, so you should have at least an advantage on that water map, again, if you go that way. Huns and Persians, very strong. Huns as a fourth pick is really nice. Burgundians is interesting from Bentor. But all these other civs makes a lot of sense to me. I think Bentor has to go for another water sieve here as the final pick, just in case Chinese get sniped, right? What other sieve here can go water? Not like maybe Vietnamese, but not really where you want. Not really where you want to see them. Dravidians, let's go. This is why we watch these Warpath sets, man. The last pick might not see them, but I appreciate them being in the draft anyway. Malians. Okay, Malians are not terrible for shoals either, I suppose. I think you snipe Chinese here if you're Warpath, but I wouldn't mind, you know, if it ends up being Magyars or Khmer, that's probably fine too. Bentor? Man, I don't know. I think I sniped the Jurchens here, surprisingly. It's the Persians. Okay. Okay. So, does not want to see those elephants. Bentor does not. Probably makes sense. None of these civs here really have a great answer to war elephants, really, especially on like an Accaray. You kind of just have to go Khmer and try to go elephant for elephant. So that might make sense in context. Oh, true. Tatars do. You're right. The Tatars do have an answer to elephants. But do you want to go Tatars on Accaray? I suppose if you're confident it's going to be Persians and you can just go flaming camels. Okay. Well, Bentor didn't want to have to worry about it. So does leave both the Chinese and the Jurchens available for Warpath. I think I have to say I much prefer Warpath's draft. Bentor's isn't bad, but Burgundians is kind of an iffy pick. Malians and Vietnamese are okay, but I think I prefer a lot of these civs back in here for Warpath. But we'll see. We'll see what these guys have planned. Very interesting. Oh, true. There's hyper random too. So you kind of want a civ that's that can be good on water or land for that, right? So that's honestly, Jurchens are probably with maybe the exception of like Saracens, I think Jurchens should be the best civ on hyper random because they're really good land and water. So I'm a little worried about Bentor's draft having to go to these water maps. Maybe you just pray that hyper random is land and not water. But that can backfire, obviously. Good luck, Warpath. We'll be hoping for a good show. So we're starting out on Accaray, right? Correct. So, without Persians here, it feels like Georgians, right? You could go Romans as well if you're Warpath. I think that's an interesting civ choice for Accaray. Centurions are extremely strong, but very expensive, so you have to be careful. But like I said, Accaray tends to just be like a 10-minute map. So you might not necessarily run out of resources. If you're Bentor here, it's probably Khmer for elephants. Maybe a Vietnamese. If you're really confident in your micro, you could go Vietnamese, try to do bombard cannons to snipe out siege of whatever's coming here, whether it's, you know, Romans will have scorpions, Georgians will have SO. Be a little spooky though. Aftermath and Sunburn. Romans are probably the least useful on these other maps, right? Huns and Georgians are both pretty good for Sunburn, I think. That's probably Huns, though, for Warpath. Aftermath. I think I prefer Georgians to Romans on Aftermath, but we have seen Romans do some pretty good things on Aftermath this tournament so far. I'm less confident in what Bentor is going to do. Like I said, I don't know this player as well, so I don't have a huge read on their preferences or strategies. I think meta-wise, well, having Tatars and Magyars is nice for, but it's really just Aftermath, right, that you really want to use them on. Magyars maybe for Sunburn, but we've seen them get rolled over a few times on Sunburn too. Alright, they are into game 1. And we've got 40 seconds of spec delay before we get into Akare. Okay. So I guess I do like Georgians a lot for Akare, but I might pick Romans here just for the sake of the rest of this draft. Like if there was an outcrop or something, well, I don't know, man. It's tough between those two for me. For Bentor, probably going Khmer here unless you really want them for like a Sunburn. Maybe an Aftermath. In which case I guess I'm going Vietnamese. But let's see. Let's jump in. Okay. I think, yeah, this all looks good. Welcome in game 1. Warpath versus Bentor here in TDM6. We are starting out on Akare. It is the Georgians for Warpath, okay. And it's the Tatars for Bentor. So sniped out the Persians and then picked the Persian counter civ anyway. Interesting. We'll have to see how that works. We've got Batards coming out from the castles just to punch through the walls. I don't know if you need 2 of them. I think with the castle fire, just 1 petard is enough. Mule Cart Rush comes in hot. Is going to see mostly stables here. So it's going to be a Step Lancer opening as it probably should be with the Tatars. Ideally, you're getting a little bit of early damage out with the Step Lancers, and then you're switching into Cav Archers behind. Meanwhile, for our Georgian player, it is mainly Halb's opening. We've got some Siege Workshops coming up for the SO, and then, of course, these castles will be producing Manaspa, which is the best unit the Georgians can make. A lot of players have seemed averse to actually making those Manaspa, but we'll see if Warpath is in on the Manaspa. I don't love hanging out back here with all these Step Lancers. I think if you're going to go Step Lancers, you got to move in real fast with them. But instead, we're just kind of banking them up behind. There are some Keshiks mixed in here as well. And regular onagers from Bentor. Also, fire ships out of this Tatar dock is not what I would have expected. I don't feel like fire ships give you a whole lot of value here. This should, I mean, imagine if that was a demo, right? Halb's chewing through the cavalry. Cav Archers, where are the Cav Archers? They're kind of mixed in here a little bit. Castle's denied for the time being, so it's a 2-0 Eco KD in Warpath's favor early on here. And I think this is just a way better composition for the Georgians, right? Manaspa, Halb, SO. Feels kind of tough to deal with. But let's see. Regular onagers getting some good hits in on the SO. If you can hit enough Cav Archers, Tatars do get Halb. I know they only get the first armor, but I still feel like Halb is a worthwhile addition to this composition against the Georgians, right? I guess you're hoping the Keshiks can just body block in front against the Manaspa, but I don't know, man. You got to keep the Cav Archers alive, and I think that's going to be tough to do here. There's quite a few fire ships in this dock. Again, I don't know how much damage they're going to be able to find in this engagement. Ooh, a lot of SO going down, but there are still more behind. It's honestly been a pretty good fight so far for Bentor, considering the unit compositions. I'm wondering if Bentor was unaware, surely knows that you can't get across here, right? There's just such a small range for the fire ships to actually do damage. Aggro castle in the north for Warpath, trying to lock down this area where all the relics are. No military support whatsoever on that castle, but I think it goes up. Cav archers diving on, and the siege onager is not the greatest fight for them. But I do like the castle stack at the front, but Treb's behind for Warpath. It's going to take down at least one of these castles. Just needs to babysit the SO a little bit and make sure they're not wandering into the castle fire. Big fight in the back. The Manaspa came around looking for raiding damage. They did kill a few villagers on this TC, but I think this is going to be a big clear up for Bentor. The Keshiks and the Cav archers take a real good fight against the Manaspa. I suppose it does delay Bentor's army at the back of the base, so another castle falls to the trebuchets at the front. Neither player really focusing on the top or the bottom that much, which again, they don't tend to come into... What do I want to say? It doesn't usually actually matter on Acre in Deathmatch what happens at the top and the bottom. The games don't go on long enough to really care. Yeah, it's just so tough going Onager against SO. Decent trades, though. Decent. A lot of Trebs. Another castle's gone down. I think this castle will fall as well, but it is quite a big army here now. 42 Keshiks and almost 40 Cav archers for Bentor. Can you fight 105 Halberdier? I don't know. You gotta not take terrible SO shots. A lot of Cav archers dying. But the SO is mostly down. Oh, another good shot into the Cav archers, though. There's still 80 Halb on the field. Where are they? They're all just hanging out back here, I guess. Might need to protect the siege a little bit here, guys. You are the meat grinder in front of the siege. That's why you're in the army composition right now. Now they move forward. And yeah, I think that was just good enough fight for Warpath. He's even got some demos coming in from the south. Oh, Bentor does, sorry. But the issue here is... Well, where are they going? They're going to go up into this castle. Okay, that's a little unfortunate. They actually could have done some work here as Warpath tries to cross the river. Griffin, welcome in. How's it going? Finally, Georgians on Acre. Yup. I think they're good here. I think they're very good here. The long-range Tatar Trebs trying to dome these trebuchets from Warpath. Ooh, miss, but hit. I don't know where this Treb is going. A little bit... You have the long range, my guy. You don't need to get that close. Yeah, I think this is too bad. The Manaspa loop through the town centers. 33 villagers have now died for Bentor. It's still not that bad economy-wise. The extra TCs came down a little bit faster for Bentor, I think, but... Warpath. The issue for Warpath is he's trying to wait for trebuchets to come out, but he's pop-capped, so he's kind of stuck with just these two Trebs right now. It's not going to be the easiest push in the world. But... Let's see. We're going to have to take a fight to get pop space, right? Okay, Trepping in the north is happening. Neither player seems to care about the relics. I would like to start getting them at some point. It looks like maybe Warpath is thinking about that, has monks on the way out, but again, stuck behind population cap. A lot more villagers going down. 38 Eco KD now to 0, by the way. And maybe Warpath is just content to do a bit of a slow push here. I don't really know. There's quite a lot of res here for Bentor, really. I'd like to see a little bit more production. Still has 3 castles if it's Keshik, but I think maybe it's just having to respond to the raids so much. Can't really think about anything else, which is really good. Huge value from these Manaspa, right? It's not just the villager snipes, it's the fact that there's been no production for Bentor for a while now. Also is now fairly heavily pop-capped as the castles continue to fall. Is getting houses up behind, but the push has crossed the river. They've forded the water. TCs are going to be falling. If this castle goes down, the base is more or less wide open. And it is going to fall. Do we have any response here? We're going to have to fall back into this area probably and use this castle as our last place to hold, but I don't know if this army is big enough. Nice shot by Warpath. It kind of has to take a not-so-great fight against the Halb, but if there's no Cav left besides the archers, there's not going to be anything to do with the SO. And the GG has to be called. Warpath, with the Georgians, takes Akare game 1. I think it was just really nicely played. I think Bentor needed to be a little bit more aggressive early on, right? He made those step lancers, but never went forward with them, right? 0 eco KD for Bentor. So I think maybe a little bit more aggression early on. I mean, once the Georgians get into their main composition here, I think it's just really tough for the Tatars. I don't really know if they have a big SO mass, if they have Manaspa, if they have Halb. Like, I don't know what the Tatars are supposed to make against that. Otter, welcome in. How's it going? Yeah, Bentor did not expect elephants because he sniped the civ that Warpath probably wanted to make elephants with on that map there. Georgians do get the win. Loss for the Tatars. That is the number 1 overall pick there by Warpath, though. And it's a fairly low down pick by Bentor. But Warpath does get the dub. Yeah, that's a good shout actually. For capture age, may as well say Division 7 somewhere. You can even do it here as well. Since round robin always seemed not super useful information anyway. Yeah, we're holiday festive today. It's my last stream before Christmas, at least, so may as well get a little festive here for this one. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I said it's the only elephant civ for Warpath, but technically the Dravidians are in here. That is potentially their best map, too. Akare out of the rest of these. I don't think we're going to see them. I don't think we're going to see the Dravidians, period. But maybe on Aftermath, maybe that's the second best. I don't know. Alright, we're going on to Hyper Random. So, I don't know. I think it's going to have to be Malians? Vietnamese? I have no idea what Civ Bentor goes for here. I think it should be the Jurchens for Warpath. But yeah, I have no idea. Maybe you just go Magyars and hope that it's not a water map. Yeah, Burgundians, yeah, I don't know, man. Alright, let's get into it. Welcome in. Game 2, Bentor versus Warpath here in TDM6. We are on Hyper Random. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, double ding, ding, ding. Is this a hotkey issue here for Bentor? I'm not sure why we're panicking quite so much. It is the Magyars for Bentor, by the way. It is the Jurchens for Warpath, which I'm at least batting 50% still. We've got Harold Hardrada here, and Stuart de Becker. I don't know who this is. Stuart de Becker. All right. Well, Harold is not going to do so well against the Magyar Paladin here, unfortunately, so he's going to go down. This is technically a water map, but it's sort of like Flooded Cross, in that probably don't necessarily need to go heavy into water, can just kind of play for demos here in the middle, and that's probably as much value. I mean, you can come around here with like Cannon Galleons if you really want to. Errol dies on the other side. Found a bit more value against the Halb of the Jurchens, to be fair, but I say that because Magyars for Bentor, not really wanting to play water. They only get regular Cannon Galleon. They don't even get heavy demo. So it's a little lackluster on the Navy side, but let's see. We actually have Iron Pagodas coming out here for Warpath, not a unit you see a ton of in RM play. I don't think they're amazing in DM either. I think usually you want to go into the gunpowder a bit more, but you know what? They're doing all right for now. They do have quite a bit of melee armor, so against the Paladin they might actually do fairly decently, right? They have one less attack. Oh no, sorry, Pierce armor. They have a lot of Pierce armor, not melee armor. Yeah, I don't know. I guess against Cav Archers maybe. Eventually Cav Archers will be forward for Bentor, so I was not expecting to see the Jurchen Men-at-Arms, I'm going to be honest. That was not a unit I expected to see here, but okay, we got a couple of them out before the Fire Lancers started to hit the field. I'm sorry, I don't know who Stuart de Becker is. You'll have to give me a history lesson. So the main composition, I think, for the Jurchens is like Rocket Cart, Grenadier, and then like Halb or Fire Lancer. I think that's their ideal composition. But the Pagodas actually might do pretty good work against the Magyars in particular. I don't know if there's any... I think just straight up Paladin for Magyars is probably their best bet. They do have mid-Halb, I suppose, if they want to go that route. You got to be real careful with these Cav Archers, though. Trying to run forward to snipe the rocket carts. Bentor wants a castle across the river, but got to be so careful against the rocket carts. Not only do they do the initial damage, they have the secondary bada boom behind. So you can really lose a lot of Cav Archers if you're not careful. I believe this is actually Defend the Wonder, right? If you kill this Wonder, you do win. So I wonder if it's ever worth just massing... Neither player has gone for a dock. Should you not go for a dock, like a couple docks, get like 10 Cannon Galleons and just roll back here and try to snipe this? That should win you the game, right? If it says Defend the Wonder, I think that does count as a win condition for Hyper Random. I might be wrong about that. In which case, I would look very silly if I went for the Wonder Snipe and it didn't actually end the game. But you know what? I think I'd give it a try, especially as the Magyars here. I don't think it's a great Civ matchup for the Magyars, so might be your best bet to try and snipe the Wonder instead. You had a similar generation against Nilly once and you won that way? Okay. I think it's worthwhile. These aren't the bulkiest buildings in the world, right? I don't know how many regular Cannon Galleons you would need to feel good about a snipe, but if the opponent's not going water at all, you can just kind of slowly mass them up pretty nicely. This is not going to be a super fast push for Warpath. There's no Trebs on the field. So I guess he's going to try and go through castles with the rocket carts. And yes. We've got some sneaky docks over here. Warpath is actually on the water on the opposite side, so we've got much better siege choice for Warpath with the Jurchens. He's got the Lushuans that also have secondary explosions, I believe. So maybe both players thinking about it a little bit now. I think Bentor just did a little loop here. I guess I won't be able to see it. I think he did a little loop here to see if there were docks on this side. Maybe I'm being hopeful, but I think he did a little loop. We're not seeing anything produced out of here just yet. This isn't... We're not playing Khmer, although it may seem like we are. Oh, a lot of these farms are interesting, aren't they? Why are these so far out here? Surely this is... Well, maybe this is the closest place to farm for this TC. Is it? Okay. Paladin thinking about trying to snipe some siege here. Warpath has managed to get some siege out on the field. Where is... Oh, it's Dorthebecker is a trade ship? Is that what this is? Or is it a demo? Who is this man? Okay. Paladin. They're gonna die. It's a suicide mission. But they do snipe. Ooh, only one trebuchet. I don't think that's worth it. Castle goes down. Yeah, the double gold composition. I mean, there is still quite a lot of res here for Bentor. So, maybe it's okay. But the Lushuans are coming around town. Doesn't look like Warpath is really paying attention to that, but that could be a wonder snipe if he looks back over here. Okay, there comes the Magyar Hussar. These things do quite a lot of damage. I think these rocket carts count as gunpowder, right? Yeah, I think so. That's what that... Well, I don't know. I think they do, right? They should. So the Magyar Hussar, I think, get extra bonus damage against them. Does the demo one-shot the Wonder? Imagine. I think it's a trade cog that has a range, though. I'm not quite sure how that works. That would be funny, though, if it loaded you in with a ship that could just end the game immediately. Man, I really wish we had seen some cannon galleons coming out for Bentor. I really think that's the only win con here for the Magyars. Maybe not. The Magyars are just really good, right? So maybe they can just long-term do alright, but man, it's so scary. Every time a fight tries to come in here, no, the Lushuans came around the wrong way. I guess they can find value here, taking out some castles, playing it out standardly. Cav Archer is not taking good fights against the rocket carts. There's not a ton of Halb on the field for Warpath right now, though, so it is possible for the Paladin to roll in. These Grenadiers are going to be difficult to deal with. They don't do a ton of damage with each grenade, but there's just a lot of them. Alright, Magyar Hussar, though. They aren't really finding a great engagement, but they do snipe some rocket carts. We'll see how tanky these Iron Pagodas are against the Cav Archers and the castles. Oh, we're getting close. We're getting real close. This game's going to end without either player realizing that it's going to end, aren't we? I have a feeling Warpath has just patrolled these in to do damage in the back. And I don't think either player is thinking about this Wonder at all. They're both so focused on the push at the front. But I think this is the end of the game, right? The Lushuans should start to attack the Wonder instead. It's a good fight for Bentor at the front, though castles are falling, but the Wonder goes down. It takes a second. GG! GG! 1 time speed for spec delay, potential snipe. What do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying to me, Otter. Is there a post-game chat? Oh, true. I should check that. I mean, again, I think Warpath was going to win this either way. But, we like to see the Wonder go down, right? Bentor says question mark, and Warpath says, oh, weird, GG. So I don't think either of them expected... I don't think either of them actually thought that was going to be a Wonder victory, like a Defend the Wonder game, despite it saying that. All right. Jurchens win, Magyars lose. Man, you gotta have it in your head. You gotta have it in your head as on these hyper random maps. You can get wonders. You can get queens or kings for regicide. Like your game mode can switch at any given moment on hyper random, so you gotta be aware. Oh yeah, I always try to go on 1 time speed, so I must have done that without. Usually, if I notice it's on 2 times, I try to go to 1. So thank you, I appreciate that. I didn't even clock that I had done that. All right, well, Warpath is up 2-0 over Bentor. That is the first 2 picks from Bentor sniped. Warpath still has Chinese for Shoals, so I think this is going to be a tough set to pull off a reverse sweep on, but we have seen some reverse sweeps in this tournament so far. My snowstorm got dragged to the right, did it? I think this is as good as I could get it. I fiddled with it a bit before stream, but it always kind of was covering up something important. This is as good as I can get it, I think. You can still, as long as you can still read all the civ names, I think I'm happy with that. Oh no, it doesn't quite match both sides. It's not a perfect mirror. Snowstorms are imperfect. That is the beauty of them, right? No 2 snowflakes are the same, so it can't possibly be a mirror. All right. Where do you go here if you're Bentor? I guess you've got Aftermath left, but you've got to win all these maps. I guess it depends. It's still a playoff 5, right? So if some people, if they lose the set, they'd become less motivated for the last 2 games. Whereas some people, I think, would not stress out so much on the last 2 games if they lose the set early. Depending on that, I might go Shoals here. I think Shoals is probably an easy Warpath win if there is anything else in this draft. I can't imagine the Malians or the Vietnamese are going to be able to beat the Chinese on Shoals. So depending on your particular brain chemistry, might go Shoals here first. Maybe you save that for last if you think that's the toughest map. Aftermath maybe here. I want to say Khmer is going to be for Sunburn. I have no idea where Burgundians are going to go though. It looks like it's going to be Aftermath. So maybe Burgundians here? I think it's their best map. I think I would still go... Vietnamese, probably, if I was Bentor. But that doesn't feel amazing either. Maybe you go Malians here, and then you try to just play straight up land on shoals with like... I don't know, Burgundians there, I guess. I have no idea, man. Well, I don't love any of these civs on these maps, to be honest. I'm thinking Khmer on Sunburn because the elephants are strong. Oh, I missed them getting into the game a little bit here. Because elephants are strong and they're slow and you don't need to walk very far on Sunburn, but they don't get the buildings up fast, so I guess, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. But, alright. Oh, let's go. Alright. I'm back in. I'm immediately back in. Welcome in. Game... This is actually 3. Warpath versus Bentor, and we do see the Dravidians. Let's go. I thought this might have been a nice draft pick that we weren't going to see actually get chosen from Warpath, but he chooses the Dravidians here. Baller move, to be honest. Does not snipe a villager there, unfortunately. It is the Burgundians for Bentor. That was expected, I think, although I don't know. I guess they get good halb against the elephants. We have seen regular scorpions do alright against the Dravidians in this tournament already. I don't know if that's going to work out here, but we'll see. For now, champion opening on both sides, so maybe it's not going to be immediate elephants. Instead, elephant archers and champion in front from the Dravidians. I like that. I think I like that a lot, actually. The Woot Steel champions are actually very strong. They're underrated a bit, in my opinion. Trade workshops were captured early by Bentor with that Hussar that he did not send forward into Warpath space. Warpath is going to reclaim the left-hand side one. And I said they're strong. I don't know if they can 4v1 over on that side. The Halbs from Bentor, not going to find a whole lot of value if it's going to be champion elephant archer. Yep, it's... I mean... Is this surprising? Do you not want to go Coustier as the Burgundians? I feel like that's their best unit, isn't it? These things look like Tiger Cav, by the way, when they're upgraded. They're elite icon. I was like, this is not the correct unit. What would you make as the Burgundians? Just hand cannon, I guess? And then, I don't know. Hand cannon and something else, I suppose, to complement them. Weird not to open Paladin here. No Bloodlines Paladin against the Dravidians, though. That doesn't feel super good to me. But and Bentor has not gone for the early damage, right? Like, yeah, in a vacuum, go for the Paladin early, try to get a couple Vil snipes, but I don't think Bentor has gone forward at all this set yet, early on. He's always been playing it defensively, so I'm not super surprised by that. The Coustier should do quite well against the champions. I'm still a little unsure what the plan is for these elephant archers. The bombard cannons do decent damage on a head-on hit, but they don't have the blast damage to really carve through a ton of elephants. Big fight. Coustier carve through those halb. But the elephant archers are putting out pretty good DPS behind. I like the forward castle from Warpath as well. Couple SO getting sniped by the bombard cannons. But yeah, they just, like, Hofnitsa kind of can deal with the elephants. But it's just not enough radius damage by the bombard cannons, I don't think. We'll see, though. Coustier dive on some siege. They do get a couple SO sniped down in here. I think you still have to go Onager. I know it's regular Onager without Siege Engineers, but I think you still have to go Onager here if you're the Burgundians, right? Let's see, this is about as good of a fight as you're going to get against the Elephants. The Halb are getting decent bonus damage in here, but it's just a lot of HP, right? 12,000 HP on these Elephant Archers. Castle's going to fall behind for Bentor. Has control over this trade workshop, but I guess a sneaky, actually super calculated castle by Warpath over there to reclaim that. Has the right-hand trade workshop secured. Castle will fall for Bentor. Well, maybe not. It's just one trebuchet. It's very close. We need one more treb out here. It's going down anyway. Another 2 shots, and I think this castle goes down. There we go, just one. And bombard cannons have nothing in front. Dravidians are simply overpowered. We've learned this. They've got map control. They've got the center push. Man, what more could you want? Yeah, being very cavalier with the Coustier. I just don't know, man. I think it needed to be Onager and just hope and pray for the best. But there's not too much in front of these elephants again. The issue is more the resources here for the Burgundians, I think. Where are these Coustier going? They're pathing through the elephants to go fight the Halbs in the back. Okay. Okay, alright. No more bombard cannons. I don't think they were doing that much in this fight anyway, to be honest. And I think the Dravidians have simply steamrolled here. I'm going to be honest. There's still a decent amount of castles back here, but I don't think there's any way to deal with this elephant mass anymore. The eco's quite nice for Bentor. So that's something. The macro has been very good this whole series, to be honest, from Bentor. It's just been the actual civ choice, I think, has contributed to these losses more than anything. We've got some whippy boys guarding the trade workshops. We like to see that. I would like to see a few more trebs here from Warpath, realistically. I would like to see more there's more trebs on the field. Okay, they're coming forward now. Theoretically, elephant civs are supposed to be a timing civ, right? So if you're playing for elephants, I think you really want a lot of siege behind them. But does not matter in this case. Warpath. Dravidians are unstoppable. They have a great win rate. And they come out on top over the Burgundians. I don't know if Warpath was anticipating the Burgundians here. It feels like a really good counter pick if this was anticipated, if this was predicted. Because, I mean, like I said, the Burgundians kind of have to go bad Onager and Halb, which is not really what you want to do, but alright, Warpath takes the set. It's a fairly straightforward 3-0. We do play out the remainder here, though. The Tars here would have been great. Actually true, yeah. Actually true. Tatars here and Burgundians on Acre. Could have just switched them 1 for 1. Strike Muffin, thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's much appreciated. We do have... There was a Strike Muffin game earlier. And I think there's another Strike Muffin set yet to be cast. So I don't know if this is a bribery to swing my favor for future rec castings, but it works if so. it definitely works. It could also be the opposite bribe. Some players don't like being cast as much, so I have had people say, no, please don't. So if that's the case also, that makes sense. Thanks for casting so many sets. Well, hey, all props to the players. I just get to sit here and talk over the games, right? It's massive props to the players for getting these good games going. All right, I'm going to mark these off real fast because they are immediately into the next game. Warpath has the home maps left. So let's see if Bentor can pull back at least one win here. Let's jump in and see. Welcome in Game 4. Warpath has taken the set, but it is playoff 5. Every win can matter in Tarnished Deathmatch 6. We are here on Sunburn. It is the Malians here for Bentor. Okay. And it is the Huns for Warpath. I forgot to make my prediction, but if you go back to the beginning of my stream, I did predict the Huns on Sunburn at the top, so I still count that as a win for me. Nice little quick walls in here for Warpath. We like to see that. Huns, well, they're going to be spamming out Cav Archers. Probably, actually, no Cav at all here. It's full barracks and archery ranges. So doesn't want to go Paladin into those Malian Farimba camels, I suppose. On the backside, Malians are opening camels, champions behind to deal with the Halbs, I suppose. And we'll see what happens. Warpath did get one Eco Snipe immediately, but not the most damage for Sunburn. And we'll see what the game plan is here now. Here's the chance for Bentor to get a point. Alright. It's a decent... This is by far the best Civ matchup for Bentor so far, right? So, if there was ever going to be a victory, and it's not going to get better after this either, the Shoals Civ matchup is not going to be good either, so this is maybe the one chance for Bentor. Not to count him out of Game 5, but I don't think it's going to be amazing. Farimba Camels, not the worst thing to use against these Hun Halbs, but still long-term, not the best. As long as Warpath avoids taking a huge shot from the SO. That was a good shot. I don't know where that shot went. There's just not enough champions to deal with these Halbs right now. I wouldn't mind... There's at least one castle up already. A couple more on the... Well, maybe just one more on the way. I think the composition here should include Gebetto, right? For Bentor eventually. If you have SO and Gebetto, what do the Huns have against that composition? I guess they have to switch into like Paladin, but then you have your camels you can fall back to again. Got some Tarkans on the way, Paladins are on the way. We even have a Hun crossbowman in queue. Probably a misclick for the Cav Archer, but you never know. Siege Rams coming out. Castle has been denied in the south for Bentor. Ram push is coming in the north. I don't know if this has been spotted yet. That would be an easy thing to snipe with an SO. Rams running into the SO is not ideal. Okay, I guess this Ram's just going to go down to the castle. Gotta be real careful with your Cav Archers in these choke points. They are getting sniped down rather severely. Siege Workshop does go down, though, which is nice for Warpath, clearing out these buildings. You want this as open as possible for the engagement against the SO. Also, the SO kind of coming forward into the Halb. Unfortunate micro there for Bentor. Continuing to expand around the back. We have a lot of archery ranges here as the Malians. Don't know why. What are we making here? Is this hand cannons? I guess it's not... Okay, well. I guess it's nothing. Oh, man. That's rough. That's rough, man. This is Hun's revenge against Malians, yep. The Huns... There was a chance here for Bentor. The initial push by the Huns wasn't super fast. Like, there weren't a million Paladin or whatever running through Bentor's base in the first 2 minutes. But I think losing all the SO against the Halb there, I think that one micro moment really turned the tides a lot here. That's too bad. That's too bad. Yeah, there were no stables to start. It was full Halb and Cav Archer for Warpath until quite late in the game. He added in some stables at the end here, which should be quite ideal as the Malians, right? You have the SO to deal with the Cav Archers theoretically. You have Champion, Gebetto, whatever, to deal with the Halb. But especially if they're not running in here and diving underneath your TC and whatnot for villager snipes, which Warpath also didn't really do early on. He got one snipe with his Hussar, and then just kind of banked stuff up. Alright. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, and Bentor has an amazing strategy here for Shoals with one of these civs. It should be Vietnamese, right? But how in the world, like, I guess Vietnamese has a pretty good matchup against the Chinese on land. I don't know if that matters, really. They're already into the next game. So let us jump right in. I'm not sure how often you can really turn Shoals into a land game. Maybe at this division it's possible, but I think Warpath is pretty good on water. Let's find out, though. Welcome in, Game 5. Final game here. Bentor looking to get 1 point on the board. It could make a big difference here. Warpath has looked unstoppable so far in this series, though. We're here on good old Shoals. It is the Chinese for Warpath. It is the Vietnamese for Bentor. And we'll see what we can do here. Docks down early for Warpath, which is correct. No docking at all for Bentor, so maybe does want to play straight up land, but I wonder if you're not going to make any docks, do you even make these buildings at the front? Because the Chinese Lu Xuans are going to rip through all this stuff pretty quickly. Elephants or no. Light Cav does not get a snipe for Warpath. I think if you're not going to play water, I think what I would do is just immediately fall back into the corners. Make castles like here, maybe? Give all this up, which is a terrible idea, but if you're not going to... I mean, not playing water is, I think, a really bad idea to begin with, right? So I'm trying to make lemonade out of some lemons here with what I'm cooking. Elephants going across the water straight into these Chinese heavy demos. That's not going to be good for them. You definitely cannot not go water and then also try to cross the water. That's one thing you cannot do. We do have some docks up now for Bentor behind, so some demo ships are going to be hitting the field. Yeah, the Vietnamese dock is not terrible. They don't get shipwright. And they don't get fast fire, I guess, but that probably doesn't matter that much. It's mostly just shipwright that kind of hurts here. So maybe there's a world where you could have just played straight up water against the Chinese. I don't think that's likely to be effective, but man, it'd be so much better than this. No, not the elephants, man. Oh, jeez. Elephant straight into the Halb, straight into the demos. It's a travesty, man. Warpath already expanding out here nicely. Here comes the next fleet of demos. Nice counter demos, but they don't get all of them. Now here's the Lu Xuans. And I mean, the elephants do pretty good against them, I suppose. The Rattans actually do quite well against the Lushuans, but it's not enough. It's simply not enough. Both players thinking about contesting down here. Again, why are we making the castle right on the water? I guess maybe we're going to try and redock down there, but I feel like water's already been lost. Maybe not. Demos come out in the north. They get decent snipes on the Lushuans. It really hurts my soul to see all these elephants on the water, though. All right, here we go. Here's your thumbnail, if there would be a thumbnail. There it is. There it is. Right there, that's it. And all the elephants are dead. I don't think the Rattans are gonna fare too well against the demos either. Alright, let's just get out of here, man. Let's just get out of here. It's not gonna happen. Warpath. Sweeps. 5-0. Looked really strong here. I mean, I think I've said before, I think Warpath is going to graduate multiple divisions in the next few TDM 6s, so TDMs rather. I think he has a lot of upward mobility still to come, so he was my favorite in this set, but that's why they smashed through the divisions. Yeah. Yup. GG's. Again, I don't think... How do I want to phrase this? I don't think Bentor played the games badly at all. A few things here, like, I think he needed to go Onager against the Dravidian, stuff like that. Generally, I think, and not being aggressive with the Tatars, like little nitpicky stuff like that. Largely, I think Bentor played the games quite well. I think this was more of a draft difference if I had to boil this set down to an issue. Feels like Warpath had a really good idea of what he wanted to do, what he wanted to play on these maps, what was good on these maps, and he executed really nicely. Warpath's just a tough opponent, man. GG's Warpath. Looking really, really strong. No wood games, but, I'll let you off this time. I'll let you off this time. We needed at least one set without a wood game, I suppose, from Warpath, so fair enough. Yeah, maybe my luck lended itself to Warpath for the 5-0 here as well. I don't know. All right, well, that was a nice, fun, quick, very quick opening set here.